Bug types. God, I love bug types. That may be a hot take, but they're not for everybody. But me? I'm a real bug type gamer. Every generation, Game Freak will bless this world with a new garbage bug type, and I completely lap that shit up every single time. So I got to thinking, what if I did a bug type only run of the game? But not just any kind of run, a hardcore Nuzlocke. Today I'm playing Pokemon Fire Red with hardcore Nuzlocke rules, only using bug type Pokemon. Before this video begins, I'd like to take a second of your time. Please look at this graph. As you can clearly see, this channel could use your support. Please like, comment, and subscribe so you can watch me play like dog shit as often as you want. Thanks, and let's continue. Firstly, what are my rules for a Nuzlocke? Well, I keep all of them in the description below, but for a brief explanation, I can only catch the first Pokemon I find on each route. If a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead, no items can be used in battle, no overleveling past a gym leader's ace, and I can only play in set mode. Now we can finally jump into the challenge. This game was definitely not built for the bugs. In total, there's only 5 bug Pokemon that you can catch during the game, and let me tell you, most of them are not that good. But they have just enough tools that maybe, just maybe, even these little freaks can conquer Kanto. First things first, I grab a Squirtle as my starter to maximize my odds in this run. You see, your rival this game will always choose the super effective counter to your Pokemon at the start of the game, meaning that picking Squirtle tricks my rival into picking up Bulbasaur, a Pokemon that isn't exactly much of a bug killer. Those of you with the Keen Eye ability may have noticed that Squirtle is not a bug type, and good point. Counter argument, instant bug on Route 2. My first Pokemon for this run is a Weedle, aka Jonah. This man here is a key member of Bug Team 6. He may have terrible stats, but those same terrible stats are god tier compared to the local Caterpie and Pidgeys that other trainers have in the early game. Speaking of which, it's in the forest next door that we can catch our second bug operative, a Caterpie named Shondine. I immediately evolve her up into a Butterfree, since the level cap for Brock is a whopping 5 levels over these two's final evolution levels. Now this is a great time to mention that this is not my first attempt. No, this challenge was a bit much for our bug friends, more than a few times. Kanto is not kind to them, and this is exemplified by Brock, the first gym leader of the region. Immediately, just these two are forced to face down a Rock-type gym leader, which would normally be a death sentence. In fact, it was 2 times in the past. I'll be filling you in on my failed runs as we go, so keep that ever-rising number in your mind. Now, on to Brock. After giving it some thought, I've come up with a fairly consistent strategy to beat him, which revolves around Shondine. You see, Shondine is about as frail as a wet paper bag, and obviously that only gets worse when dealing with Rock Stab. So you might be wondering, why not use Jonah? Well, smartass, take a look at his level up moveset. Notice something? Yeah, what in the actual hell am I gonna hit this guy with? Fury Swipes? Yeah, no. Shondine has something Jonah doesn't. Confusion. A 50 base power psychic type move, which I bet sounds really underwhelming right about now, but it's exactly what I need. All of Brock's Pokemon have massive physical defense stats, but they die easily to special attacks, so Shondine could do some crazy damage with this move, even with how ridiculously weak it is. I enter the gym and prepare to battle him. He leads with the Geodude, and I with Shondine. Thanks to the AI being a jealous high school drama queen who can't handle your stat boosting, we have a dick measuring contest between the Geodude's defense curl and Shondine's Harden. Harden is a terrible early game move that normally is pretty useless, but here it's pure gold. I can abuse this Geodude's lack of a rock type move and insistence on having better stats than me to set up as many Hardens as I can to max out my defense. Right after, Shondine takes out the Geodude, luring in Onix. And thanks to her huge defenses right now, it will take 3 Rock Tombs to kill her. This means that the AI constantly fumbles the bag as always, not clicking it sometimes because they don't see the kill, allowing us to win and take home our first gym badge. Right after Brock, we have to run our way through a gauntlet of trainers. Thankfully, Shondine, who's an absolute carry this run, destroys most of the trainers in our way. This allows us access to Mount Moon, where we can find our next encounter, a Paris. Now, nobody wants to be named after Paris, and it just so happens that Shark got the bad coin flip this time around. Yeah, Paris is a unique Pokemon, but even something as horrendous as this has a few specific uses coming up. I finally escape from the mountain and make it to Cerulean City. In order to avoid issues with the level cap that I'll explain in a second, I decide to do Nugget Bridge before anything else. Here's where we meet a serious recurring issue. Our rival has a Pidgey. Normally, I'd laugh at it before blowing it out of the sky, but that just plain isn't an option with my bug types. Thankfully, we squeak by this time around, but as the bird gets stronger, this fight will only get worse. I rescue that freak Bill, and he gives me the SSN ticket before I boogie into Misty's gym to take her down. Thankfully, I've never actually lost a run to Misty, and that's because before her level cap, Jonah picks up his signature move, Twin Needle. It's a 25 base power bug type move that hits twice. Yeah, it's, horrible. But it's also the best bug type move that we'll be getting for the entire game. That's right, this pathetic, basically 50 base power move is our only bug stab option for the entire run that actually deals okay damage. If you think that's bad, you should see Beedrill's poison type options this generation. However, this move will do just fine for Misty's gym. Jonah easily takes down Staryu by spamming the move, and out comes her Starmie, which is easily mopped up by Twin Needle. Another Goat takes out another gym. Next up is Lieutenant Surge, who only pushes the level cap by 3 levels, a measly amount. And in between me and Surge is a small parade of trainers I'm doing my best to dodge. So in order to ensure I'm well under the level cap, I did Nugget Bridge before this, which was a great decision. Thanks to that, I managed to arrive in Vermilion with a few levels to spare, so I can finally boost my way up to near, but not quite the cap, and rock into the SSN. It's here that I'm forced into a rival fight with that damn dirty bird, but sleep powder strats never fail, and I manage to beat him. I then rub an old man. His back, I was referring to, and then I walk into Lieutenant Surge's gym for the fight to begin. Of course, like with every gym, I've got a plan to beat him. Paris is horrible, literal trash, but Shark here has something special for this gym: the grass typing. Grass is ass, and it only gets worse when paired with Bug. However, this is great for Surge. Grass resists electric, and Shark evolves into a Parasect just before the gym, meaning that he's effectively become a tank, able to eat hits left and right from Surge's electric Pokemon. Additionally, Parasect just so happens to be my only Pokemon at the moment that can learn Dig, an anti-electric move that I'm sure the old man has seen during the war. I managed to just barely solve this puzzle and get ready to battle Surge, and like with Shondine and Jonah before him, it's Shark's turn to lay the beat down on a gym. I accidentally lead with Bullet Seed, which is the typical start for me, of course. However, Shark takes care of it in the following Pikachu. Now's a great time to mention that Surge is a massive asshole. Look at this Raichu moveset. Double Team? Thunder Wave? Yeah, people. Lieutenant Surge is pure RNG hell if you don't have a ground type. Thankfully, Shark here just barely manages to scrape through the plague of misses and paralysis to take down Surge and earn us our 3rd badge. After Surge, we head back up northeast and approach Rock Tunnel. Something funny you may notice about the name Rock Tunnel is that it has rock in it. Rock. Bugs do not like rocks, as you may know, which means that this tunnel is pure hell, because there's a large pathway of pitch-black tunnels filled to the brim with these rock trainers. I've lost 2 runs due to pure negligence and utter bullshit caused by this tunnel being filled to the brim with anti-bug propaganda, barring my entry to Lavender Town. Even then, most of the trainers here you have to battle. Since Erica is only 5 levels over Surge, I have to be careful with how I maneuver this place, because if I don't, something will over-level. Well, I'm not exactly worried about Erica, but it's still inconvenient. Thankfully, I finally burst out of Rock Tunnel and blast past Lavender Town all the way to Celadon City. It's here where I can finally pick up a new team member from the Child Gambling Center. I mean the Game Corner. I give the cashier $1 billion and purchase a Pokemon from the Reward Center, that being the Scyther Titan. Now, as much as I love my bundle of misfit gamers, this is a real fucking Pokemon, with an attack stat, and a speed stat, something that we kind of lack. Every member of this team is essential, sure, but, well, some members are more essential than others. I blast into Erica's gym, and I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, seriously, grass is ass, and when everything's a bug, it's a lawnmower world. When I leave with the badge, we roll on over to the Game Corner once more and bust down into the Team Rocket hideout underneath. After a while of navigating through bullshit and puzzles, I find Giovanni hiding in his evil villain hole, where I tell him to kick rocks, and he runs away crying to the next town. By the way, beating Erica earlier and Giovanni does some great work for me. The level cap has skyrocketed up to a whopping 43. That means I have a lot of freedom for maneuvering with the team. The upcoming Ghost Tower won't be too hard thanks to this, and I clean up the place with ease, including the Marowak at the top. I lay the beat down on some rocket grunts, and then gain access to the Pokeflute, which allows me to wake up Snorlax, granting me access to Route 12. This is fantastic because it finally allows me to catch my 5th and final Pokemon, Venomoth, which is basically Butterfree, but with a worse move pool and better stats, and that's it, folks. Yep, that's all. Cameron the Butterfree is the last member of Ace Team Bug. It's all up to these fine fellows to win the day from here on out. Now I can finally go to Fuchsia City, right after I remember to go to Saffron, which I almost forgot to do. I run on in and enter the Silphco building, where I battle my way past a few, and by a few I mean a fuck ton of grunts, until I reach another rival fight, which I am just so excited about. I lead Shondine into Pidgeot and immediately cheese it to sleep before slamming it with Psybeams until it dies, but not without it managing to land one wing attack on me. Growlithe comes out next, and a Compound Eyes boosted sleep powder immediately puts it to sleep, just like the dumbass bird. While the dog is napping, I send out Titan, who easily sets up a Swords Dance. The dog stays asleep, and Titan kills it. Gyarados comes out next, but it shares the same fate because Scyther is absolutely busted. Alakazam comes out next to eat shit and die before Venusaur hits the field, and Grass gets the ass treatment once more. Giovanni is up next, and thankfully I'm ready for this fight. Shondine easily cleans up Nidorino with a Psybeam, and Rhyhorn with the Giga Drain. Kangaskhan comes out next and immediately gets put to sleep. I bring out Jonah, who Brick Breaks it to death. Nidoqueen comes out, so I switch into Cameron, who beats it down with Psybeams, and just like that, Giovanni has been packed up and I can leave for Sabrina's gym. Thankfully for me, Psychic is weak to Bug. Unthankfully for me, my only good Bug attack is on a Pokemon that's weak to Psychic. However, it's about time that I mention Jonah has that dog in him. I play with EVs because I'm a coward, but what are EVs, I hear you asking? Well, effort values, a small collection of stat points that you get by beating down other Pokemon that raise specific stats for your own Pokemon. By training against certain wild Pokemon or buying EV boosting items, you can make your Pokemon stronger in many ways. This means that Jonah here has been juiced up with steroids before the fight, so even though normally Beedrill's as slow as a mobility cart in a Walmart parking lot, he's much faster thanks to speed EVs. Finally, it's time for Sabrina. I lead Jonah into Kadabra. Said Kadabra is packed up in 0 time with half a Twin Needle. Mr. Mime is up next, and he gets thrashed like the literal clown he is, and finally Alakazam comes out. Now, who loves Gen 3 AI? I certainly do. You see, Alakazam has both Psychic and Future Sight, but because Future Sight is the stronger move, it goes for it. Which is the worst decision ever, because it results in Jonah immediately smashing its head into a table. Finally, my favorite Psychic type comes out, Venomoth. Wait a minute. Either way, Shondine drops in and destroys it with a critical hit Psybeam, and just like that, we've got our 6th badge. Weirdly enough, the game pulls a Johto and sets Koga's level cap at exactly the same as Sabrina's, but let's be honest, a Poison-type trainer is not about to stand up to our violent Psychic spam. We grab the Psychic TM on our way out and run off to beat up Koga. I actually accidentally overlevel Titan before this gym, but that's fine, I won't be needing him. I waltz on in and fight some of Koga's Poison-type gym trainers before I maneuver over to the man himself. Cameron easily cheeses his way through the fight, destroying the whole gym with sleep powders and Psybeams. I collect my badge and run off to the Safari Zone right afterwards. It's here where I pick up the HM for Surf, and I teach it to my Bug-type Lapras. I then sail down to Cinnabar Island, where I need to navigate through this big-ass mansion, which is unironically cool because it's stuffed to the brim with Mewtwo lore. Right after, it's time for something I'm not exactly excited for. Blaine. Oh god, Blaine. I am not ready for this guy. Blaine is a Fire-type gym leader, which is a huge issue for me because it beats all of my Bug-type Pokemon. At this point, I've lost a whopping 3 extra runs to Blaine, but this time, I'm ready. I'm gonna beat this old man into retirement using my bugs. I lead Titan into his Growlithe. Titan sets up a Swords Dance and eats a mean Fire Blast. Thankfully, with the boost, Titan one-shots Growlithe, Ponyta, and Oh, shit! Never lucky, baby, never lucky. Finally, Arcanine comes out, and Titan doesn't exactly want that smoke, so I need to switch out. And, well, I need a safe switch. Sorry, Shark. Funnily enough, Arcanine actually doesn't kill Shark, who lands a Quick Claw boosted Spore on the big dog before hitting it with a Dig for good damage and finally dying. With how low it is, I send out Shondine, who puts it to sleep and beats it down with Psychics. It's right after this that I'm kidnapped by Bill and sent to the Savvy Islands, where the PC is down, so I'm forced to lug around Shark's dead body for this entire section. Some dude tells me that his daughter is late with his lunch, so I go looking for her. At first, I think it's the bikers causing trouble on the island, but when I can't find her with them, I check in the berry woods, only to find her alone and crying in the back, saying a monster is after her. I'm confused because in a Pokemon game, what could possibly— Oh my god, get that freak away! Hypno is such an ugly bastard of a Pokemon, my lord. I take the girl back to her dad, and the PC is finally fixed, so I can lay Shark to rest and carry on with my adventure. I book it back to Viridian City, where I can finally challenge Giovanni, the 8th and final gym leader. And frankly, despite what you might believe, I'm more than ready for him and his sham of a team. I lead Shondine into Rhyhorn and instantly kill it with Giga Drain. This baits out the second Rhyhorn, which is destroyed by another Giga Drain. Dogtrio comes out, which is put to sleep and killed with, you guessed it, Giga Drain. Finally, Nidoqueen and King are brought down by Psychic Spam, and we have our 8th and final badge, just like that. With Giovanni defeated, it's finally time for the Elite Four. Before that, I've got another rival fight, which ends in more cheese as usual. I then walk through the gates towards Victory Road, and upon entering, I realize that I forgot the HM for Strength. Oopsie. I make a quick trip back to Fuchsia City, where now I can get the HM. I breeze through a surprisingly easy Victory Road, which is a nice change of pace since the others have been tough as nails. Finally, I arrive at the Pokemon League. It's here that I first must beat the Ice-type gym leader, Lorelei. I spend some time coming up with a plan. Of all the Elite Four members other than Lance, she will be the hardest due to her ice and water stabs tearing up my team. I've wiped twice to Lorelei, and I'm not about to do so again. I lead Shondine into Dugong. Shondine, in classic fashion, puts it to sleep before following it up with a Giga Drain, followed by a Psychic to avoid putting it in potion range, and then another Giga Drain to finish it off. Slowbro comes out next, so I switch to Cameron, who chips it away until her Safeguard drops. Cameron lands a Toxic on it before falling asleep due to yawn. Here, Cameron needs to gamble a little. In order to stall out some of Toxic turns, he needs to stay in for just 2 turns on Slowbro. Cameron barely hangs on with literally 1 HP before being forced out, having completed his mission. Shondine comes in, getting slammed by a Surf, but she heals just enough with Giga Drain to hang on by a thread while Slowbro dies. Jinx comes out next, and I trust Shondine to outspeed and sleep it. I immediately switch to Jonah, who hits it with a Twin Needle, which barely doesn't kill. Jinx responds with a devastating Ice Punch, but Jonah tanks it and kills the Jinx. Thankfully, next up is the Cloister, exactly what I've been waiting for. Titan instantly comes in and sets up 2 Swords Dances while the Cloister sets up Spikes and wastes time with Protect. Titan easily takes it down, and the Lapras comes out. With 2 Swords Dances set up, 1 Hyper Beam obliterates the beast. Next is Bruno and his fighting types. Now, almost all of his Pokemon have Rock-type moves, but this is fine. Shondine, even while 4 times weak to Rock, is a great answer to this fight. She easily kills the lead Onix with Giga Drain, and then sleeps Psychics, Hitmonchan, Machamp, and Hitmonlee to death, before using Giga Drain and killing the final Onix. Without a single hit taken, Shondine cleans up the second member of the Elite Four. Damn, Butterfree is such a good Pokemon. Next up is Agatha, a Poison-type trainer masquerading as a Ghost trainer. I lead Shondine into Gengar, and in classic Shondine fashion, she sleeps it before spamming Psychic until it dies. Next up is Golbat, so I task Shondine to sleep it as usual. However, Golbat surprisingly outspeeds, since Shondine's terrible speed is finally catching up to her even with the EVs. Thankfully, she hangs on by a thread and lands the Sleep Powder, before chipping it down and switching to Cameron, who kills it with Psychic. Haunter comes out next and gets 1 shot, followed by another Gengar. He and Cameron trade missed sleep moves before Cameron gets the jump on him and begins the Psychic spam. It goes down, followed by an Arbok who meets the same fate. With Agatha defeated, it's finally time for the big man himself, Lance. I get a little deja vu before I prepare for battle. I've wiped Lance 4 fucking times, which is super annoying considering that I've got to restart every single time after that. Thankfully, this time around, I've got a decent plan. One I'm not proud of, but a plan nonetheless. Lance's lead Pokemon, Gyarados, despite popular belief, is a setup Pokemon. Not one that sets up, no, one I can set up on. I lead Titan into it, who immediately sets up as many double teams as he can muster. He immediately follows it up with a parade of Swords Dances, maxing out his attack. And, well, the rest is history. Gyarados is 1 shot, Dragonite is also 1-0. Bulky motherfucker. Well, he missed, so he gets killed a turn later. Aerodactyl comes out and misses a wing attack, and Titan takes him down with a Steel Wing. His last 2 Dragonairs are destroyed easily by Titan, and Lance is defeated cleanly. However, we're not out of the woods yet. We've got one last challenge to overcome. Our rival became the champion literally 10 minutes before us, so now I've got to go beat him with my bugs just like I did Lance. He leads Pidgeot and I lead Shondine. As always, she sleeps it before slamming it with a sea of Psychics. Seeing a kill, Rhydon comes out next, but 1 Giga Drain later and 2 of his Pokemon are in the dirt. Arcanine comes out and I desperately need a safe switch into Cameron since there's no way that Shondine outspeeds this Arcanine. Since, assuming that cost me my last run. I send out Jonah, and with one last salute the goat goes down so Cameron can come in. He puts Arcanine to sleep and I cross my fingers, praying he doesn't wake up. Thankfully, he never does, and Cameron secures the kill. Alakazam comes out, and I know for a fact that he's going for Future Sight thanks to Gen 3 AI being a little odd. So, whether or not Cameron outspeeds doesn't matter, since I can safely Sleep Powder him. Now, with the stage set, I swap over to Titan and get ready for the kill. Titan sets up a cacophony of double teams and Swords Dances, as many as he can manage, before sweeping through both Alakazam and Gyarados with ease. Finally, his strongest Pokemon comes out, the big bad Venusaur. Titan then says it's bugging time and bugs all over him, killing the Venusaur and earning us a victory. Oak waltzes in right afterwards and roasts the shit out of his own grandson, which is almost hard to watch, before he finally crowns us the champion of Kanto. And oh my gosh, this champion was a huge difficulty tweak from what I'm used to. I love bug types, but man are they garbage early on. Thankfully, we squeak by just barely and comp ourselves another win. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in my next challenge run, which will be coming up soon.